Good evening. Welcome. Happy Wednesday. Happy hump day. Happy middle of the week or the middle of whatever is going on in your life. Our intention in being here is that if you need a little lift, if you need a little faith, if you need a better understanding of your relationship with Spirit, well, that's why we're here. And you are so very welcome to join us. I like to think that we're a kind of spiritual clinic. We help you feel better if you're feeling bad, and we'll help you feel even better if you're feeling fine. And we can function as a spiritual urgent care if that happens to be where you are tonight. To get us all playing off the same page, I invite you to listen to these words, which pretty much sum up what we believe. If they resonate with you, well then please feel free to repeat after me. There is a creative, motivating power in the universe. It is the intelligence and the power and the love behind all of creation. It is the life in all of life. And it is the life within me. I know it. I feel it. I believe it. And so it is. So, just what is going on in the world at large this week? Well, let's see. The South and the Northeast are all cleaning up, where they can, from the assault by Hurricane Ida, who was not a welcome guest. COVID continues to wreak havoc on the medical world and the entire world, and now, very sadly, on children. I'm in California, and on the phone this afternoon, a woman in Texas who was very helpful asked me who I wanted for my new governor, which made me stop for a moment, and then I said, I'd rather like the one we have. And then she said, I'm in Texas, and we like our governor too. I changed the subject. I just couldn't go there. On Thursday, the president will be revealing new steps in the administration's COVID-19 response. Steps that involve testing and mandates and school measures, all depending on an individual's vaccination status. The new components would impact people all over the country. Biden's upcoming remarks come as cases and hospitalizations have increased in areas around the country, in large part due to the highly contagious Delta variant. When asked if the new steps will impact Americans' lives, the representative said, it depends on if you're vaccinated or not. I can't wait to hear this. Stay tuned. Oh, there's so much more. There's much going on in the world. But this isn't intended to be a news show. I say that every week. I just kind of like to point out that there seems to be a lot of stuff going on out there. And I guess my real question ultimately is, so how does that affect you? How does that affect us collectively? How do events, not just in your life, but in the world, affect your life? Do you just kind of catch the evening news and go, and turn it off at 7 o'clock and walk away? Or does it impact your emotions? What does it do for you? Let me know. I think that's important. Happy Hump Day, Dana. Glad that you are here. How is our John doing? You sound a little up tonight, and that excites me. I'm glad, because I know there's a lot going on in your life right now. And that's kind of my question. What's going on in your life and how is that affecting your day-to-day existence and how is it playing out? Let me know. Let me know. I've been very thoughtful this week. I like to think I'm always thoughtful, but I know I'm not always thoughtful. But I'm very thoughtful this week. I've been kind of really relying on my prayers. Not to an outside God out there somewhere, but to keep me centered, to keep me from getting too caught up in the stuff out there. Hi, Jennifer. Happy Wednesday. Glad you're here. It's been quite a week, hasn't it? We both in this end got our booster shots this week. I got mine on Monday, and Kat got hers on Tuesday. And other than a kind of sore arm, I have no reaction. And Kat is in bed, really sick from the repercussions of this. Happened with her second shot too, so we weren't actually surprised, but I was so hoping it wouldn't happen again for her because she's just miserable. I mean, she's like she's got the flu, a bad case of the flu. So I don't have my technical team tonight, although I do have a closing song picked out, and if I don't screw it up, I'll be able to give you that when the time comes. Okay, let me check in here with Dana especially. No transplant needed. Oh, yes! Blood clot resolved. Follow up with specialist in 2 weeks. Mom is very happy indeed. I am happy too. Happy for John, happy for Mom, and just happy in general. That's fabulous, Dana. Boy. I'd like to say prayer works, but that sounds kind of smug. However, I do know a lot of prayer was happening. I'm thrilled. I'm just thrilled. Yeah, Jennifer, it's the best news ever, and we're really, really excited about that. Good for John, good for Mom, good for God. Yay! Okay, all is well in Jennifer's life. All right. Sound and video are great. Yes! I'm thrilled. It doesn't take much to make me happy. It really doesn't take much to make me happy. Yes, Dana, they do. And we're using the new camera and the old microphone, just in case. Besides, I like my old microphone. I like having a microphone in front of me, then I remember. So, am I loud enough? Let me know. Jennifer says that sound and video are great. I love the video from the new camera. I really do. But for some reason, the browser doesn't seem to recognize the audio on the same camera. So, well, there we go. So it is. Why don't I just jump on in and start talking about what I'm going to talk about tonight? Because well, you know how I get when I think I've got something to say. So I'm going to say it. We'll just go with that and see where it takes us, shall we? Now, those of you that have known me for a long time, and some of you have known me for a very long time. Wait a minute, Jennifer's saying something here. I want to catch it. Oh, yeah, well, it's about the traffic. I know I went to Carpinteria for a wedding on Saturday. It is 27 miles from my house to where the wedding was being held. It took me an hour and a half to get there. Luckily, I always leave a lot of time. an hour and a half to go 27 miles. And I don't know why. There wasn't an accident there. I don't know. Sometimes we just don't know. So, back to what I was going to talk about. And as I started to say, those of you, most of you, who've known me for any length of time know that I don't normally talk about events ahead of their happening. But Sunday is the 20th anniversary of 9/11. And I just can't let it pass unnoticed, nor can I bring myself to talk about it on Sunday, the day after. That it is the 20th anniversary seems remarkable to me. And it seems both as if it were yesterday and at the same time a part of ancient history. It's in the history books. And we were there, weren't we? But see, it is our history, isn't it? It contains our memories. And it holds resolutions, both kept and unkept, and feelings that will linger for as long as we live. Perhaps beyond. I cannot forget where I was. Can you? Nor can I forget what was happening in my little world at the time. Can you? That part seems long ago and far away, doesn't it? The words that I would like to read to you now were written for the first anniversary of the events of September 11th. And it just somehow seems appropriate to remember and possibly to rethink those events now as we approach the 20th anniversary and consider all the changes in the world and in our lives in the past 2 decades because of what happened on that day. So 19 years ago, I wrote, they were human beings having normal Tuesday morning human experiences. They were men and women who had just stepped onto airplanes and out of subways and parking garages, busily packing their brains with thoughts of the work that needed to be done. They were focused idealists and distracted materialists, and they were cockeyed optimists and grumbling pessimists and arbitrary agnostics and devout atheists. They were Christians and Jews and Muslims and Buddhists and Christian scientists and religious scientists and Scientologists and scientists. They were gay and straight-laced and lesbians and labor leaders and hedonists and humanists and humanitarians and vegetarians and vagrants. Chances are that no noble cause sent them to work or to the airport that day. No brass bands marked their march into that war zone. No parades heralded their sacrifice. They walked innocently, stumbled awkwardly, all the way to glory. When the call came, they were waiting for elevators and email and return calls from clients they talked to on Monday. And they were waiting for seatbelt signs to go off. They were laughing and grumbling and praying for raises and telling bad jokes, and some, most likely, were even taking the name of the Lord, someone's God, in vain. They were involuntary heroes. God bless them. And God bless the families and loved ones who mourn them. No one asked them if they were willing to make the sacrifice. And God forgive the spiritual arrogance of those who, in the name of God, took their airplanes and stopped the laughter and interrupted the prayers and the jokes and the future. They thought they knew what they were doing. But they could not have known. They could not have known, not one life at a time, one laugh interrupted, one punchline left hanging. They could not have known the stories of the lives unfinished. It's too terrible a thing to know. Too much for a human heart to hold. They could not have known, and if, in the moment before impact, they were given a glimpse into that window through which all is seen and known, if they saw through the eyes of any God, and they knew, then God bless them. For surely in that moment they understood hell. It is a terrible thing to have to be right. We are called now to pick up the banner, to say the prayers, and to move forward. It is not they who call us. Their voices are long stilled. But it is their memory that unites us. And there is more. There is much to be done. Let us pray. In prayer we will come to know what is ours to do and what is God's. Then let us do what we are called in prayer to do, to make this world a better place, not just for ourselves, but for everyone. This much I know. We are called to be heroes. And this time, we must volunteer. "19 years since the rioting, 20 years since the event. It's a different world now. And we have different crises to handle. There's a pandemic that seems to be on its, fourth surge. And this time it is taking children. And there's global warming, which is certainly difficult to deny any longer, when there are hurricanes and tornadoes and flooding and fires. There is something going on with the weather, clearly. And it is no longer an inconvenient truth. It is the stark and sometimes fatal reality. Things have changed, as they must in 20 years. We have unprecedented security measures. We have screenings at our airports and in our schools. We have terrorist watch lists that are meant to seek out those who might do us harm, but which on occasion seem to create terror in the lives of people who simply have similar names. But I wonder, with all of this security, are we really any safer? And are we as vigilant over the thoughts in our minds, which can create even more danger for us than the danger we seem to perceive all around us? I mention all this because I believe our world seems to be on the verge of something. Will it be disaster? It could be, I suppose. Will it be yet another adjustment of our way of life? Oh, very possibly. Or might it be good news? Might it be the discovery of our own power, our own divinity, our own ability to change the world for good? I believe that's a possibility, and I don't believe it's too late. I think we get to decide. And I think we must decide individually and collectively to step up. In the immediate aftermath of 9/11, our musical director went to New York and each week sent a letter, an email, back home to us. And while he filled us in on how things looked in New York and much of what was going on, what obviously affected him and in turn affected us as we read the letters to the congregation was how he described the people. How he told us how kind everyone was. How perfect strangers were perfect. Perhaps, just perhaps, that is the secret. To be drawn together in a common cause. And perhaps it doesn't have to be a crisis or a calamity or a disaster. Perhaps it is kindred spirits working on something they believe in, something constructive, something that speaks to their hearts and enlists the hero within them. How amazing it would be to hear the call of our own longing for real solutions instead of empty rhetoric, and to work together for a world at peace, for world understanding. So tell me, what in the quiet of the night, what in the stillness of your heart, what in the process of your prayers, what do you hear? In the Old Testament, Isaiah says, I heard the voice of the Lord saying, whom shall I send? And who will go for us? And then said I, here am I, send me. The theme is repeated in 1 Samuel, when the Lord called Samuel out of his sleep. Samuel, the voice called out, 3 times. Each time Samuel mistook it for something else. 3 times his name was called before he got it, before he said, I am here. How many times, I wonder, must we be called? And a big part of the message, I think, is that the voice will keep calling until we respond. So what are you called to do? Yes, this world needs work. Each of us holds a piece of the puzzle. I believe that. And the situation is not hopeless, unless we decide it is. There are things we can do individually and collectively. Simply responding to things that speak to our heart and doing that. I think it's time for us to roll up our sleeves and our metaphysical truths and get to work. We've got to stop paying lip service to spirit and simply do something that will make the world better. It is time, I think, for us to be large enough to get past our grievances, personal and collective, and get on with the living of our lives as children of God, as inheritors of the kingdom. It is time for us to care enough to wake up and answer the call by becoming involved in whatever it is we are called to do. It may be as simple as determining to stop littering our planet with garbage, or as important enough to stop littering our minds with things we can do nothing about. Let us not hold on to grievances that are founded in debris from the past, or tie ourselves in knots because of what others have done or not done, or what we have done or not done. We have today, and our minds, our thoughts, our beliefs will create tomorrow, because it really is done unto us as we believe. We can be safe. We can heal the planet. We can promote peace and end war, if we are willing to enlighten our minds with our visions and dreams for the future and believe in their reality. If we are willing to be constructive and not destructive, we can change our lives. And in changing our lives, we can change the world. What will we leave behind us? Peace and prosperity, or pandemic and poison? The decision is ours. I got an email from the Science of Mind magazine today. I'm certain probably some of you got it as well. But it contained a prayer for peace written by Ernest Holmes. Pray for peace, he wrote, and make our hearts fit to accept it when it arrives. Let us make our intellect and our soul and our will and our feelings be ready to receive and hug her even before she arrives. Let us return in the stillness of our own soul to that ineffable presence that is peace, and proclaim it even in the midst of confusion. That peace that is the power in the heart of God. We have been told several times recently that the nation's longest war after 20 years is at an end. Is it? Perhaps. Or because of old enmities and old beliefs, is it simply waiting for an opportunity to rise up? So, I ask you, is your longest war at an end? Is your argument with Spirit over how great you might be, how powerful you are meant to be, how peaceful and perfect your world is intended to be, is that? That war might soon be over if you are willing to release old enmities and old beliefs that are no longer serving you, and if you are willing to answer the call of Spirit within you to rise up and truly be what you were meant to be. Ultimately, the decision is yours alone. Is your story the saga of years of confusion and chaos? Or is it the story of peace, poise, power, and spiritual fulfillment, with you as the hero? It's your story. You decide. You decide. Isn't it interesting what stays in our mind, what we go to? Dana says I had just started dating Chris. Wow. Hannah was a year old. A year old. Now she's a beautifully grown woman. The world has changed. Our individual worlds have changed, and our collective world has changed. And yeah, it's a big challenge. But I don't think we need to take on the whole world. See, I think that's where we get hung up. It's too big a job. But if we take on our own world, if we pray for our own life and then just expand that thought, that we can do. That we can do. It's a very different world. I wanted to say different, very different world today than it was 20 years ago. Is it better? I don't know. In some ways, yes, and in many ways, not yet. But who are we to say it can't be better and that we can't be part of it? See, the world may just be waiting for that thing you keep wanting to do, but don't. The world may be waiting for your prayer, your insight, your belief, your action. You don't have to do it all. But I really do believe that it's much like a giant jigsaw puzzle, with each of us holding a piece, and if we would simply put our piece in place, do what we feel called to do, that it will change everything. I think I'd like to see the world be better. I would like to see us be kinder to one another. That's a start. In those communications from New York, Lloyd kept talking about people being kind to one another. Strangers smiling at one another. Moving out of the way of someone who needed them to do that, gently. We can do that. That's an individual choice. We can do that. We can be kind to one another. That's a huge start. Lloyd kept saying, it's New York. And people are being kind. They're acknowledging one another. They're not walking by and not seeing anyone else. It's a gentler place. We can do that. We can be kind. We can be thoughtful. We can come to recognize, as I think they did, that we're all in this thing together, and act accordingly. So what could you do? I know I can continue doing this. That's really what I'm called to do, I feel. If I'm wrong, life will straighten me out, I'm sure. I keep thinking, what can I do? What can I do? What can I do? And then I hear this little voice saying, you're on the right track. Just keep going. What can you do? We can be kind. We can be thoughtful. We can be courteous. We can stop and we can really listen. We can respect. We can try to understand. Not just the people who think like we do, but more importantly, probably the people who don't think like we do. And allow them the space and the understanding and the opportunity to be heard. Not just listened to, but to be heard. So, what you think? Are you up for it? Are you ready to do something that just may change the world? See, what I really believe is it doesn't have to be something humongously large. It may be. What you do may open a door to something that is humongously large. But I think sometimes a smile, an ear, sometimes something very small can change a life. And if we change a life, we have changed the world. Thank you, Jennifer. It's challenging, Jennifer, meeting people where they are, even when they don't think like you. It is. But not impossible, and it doesn't have to be hard. Start small. I know that's not your style, but start small. Sometimes it's just a matter of acknowledging somebody's presence. And sometimes it's more. But you'll know. And it doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't. It's just different. Think of it as taking on a new challenge. Something that, in fact, you're very good at, being with people. Give yourself some credit. And Mrs. Craig Bayer, how about you? So the question is, what is life calling you to do? Jen, I know it's hard to understand people that don't care about other people. I know. But I wonder what their reaction would be if they felt cared for. Or just cared about. I'm not talking about taking them home and cooking them meals and tucking them into the spare bed. I'm just talking about acknowledging, having respect for them just because they are who they are, which is children of God. Maybe. Namaste. The God in me sees and recognizes the God in you. Even if we just have to say it to ourselves. But if we say it to ourselves while we are in their presence, while we perhaps have eye contact, it may just change their life. And you never know when you change one life. It's like the pebble dropped in the pond, what repercussions it might have. So hold on a moment here now. Don't go away. I might. I'm going to try not to. I'm going to put up our closing song before I forget to do it. Okay, I hope that works. It's not quite, doesn't look like what Cax usually does, but it's still a link. You might have to copy and paste into your browser. Because I don't know what she does over there. That's her job, not mine. Okay, so I'm thinking you're going to have to copy and paste. Oh, crumb. Oh, phooey. Okay, that didn't work. And I'm afraid if I go away, I won't get back. So, what I want you to do is go to YouTube when we're off the air and go listen to John Lennon's The War Is Over. Okay? Now, I know it starts out with Merry Christmas. It also starts out, when you go to YouTube, it starts out with a warning that YouTube has decided that the content is not appropriate for all people. Please. So unless you hate the song, just skip that part. And acknowledge when it says Merry Christmas at the very beginning, on account of 'cause I'm considering this an early Christmas present. Oh, okay. But YouTube says it's not found, Jennifer. Help me. Help me. Oh. Okay. War is over. Merry Christmas. War is over. John Lennon. I found it and I played it, and now my little link doesn't seem to want to work. I don't know why. Some days I'm so good with tech stuff, and other days I'm just, this is a day. But it's been a long day. The link was broken. War is over, link is broken. Okay, here. It's John Lennon. That I can do. I don't know why my link isn't working. You'll find it. You guys are smart. You can do it. So, let's pray, shall we? Since Mrs. Craig Bear has told us that prayer works and that it's powerful, let's do some of it. And I invite you to close your eyes if that's comfortable for you. Or just soft focus. Whatever works for you. Whatever creates the space in which you can go within and touch the heart of God. If you have any specific prayer requests, please put them in the chat box. I'll catch it. Otherwise, simply know with me that peace is the power at the heart of God, and that we live and move and have our being in that eternal and unlimited peace. We are one with that, one with the power of creation, one with all good. And as I know that is true for each of us, I know it is true for everyone, everywhere. There are no exceptions. We are all God expressing. Each of us, every one of us. To know it, to live it, to speak it, to act within it, to share it. That is godlike. And we can do that. We are light bearers. Children of the light itself. And we shine our light for all the world to see, that the world may be a lighter place, a clearer place, a more peaceful place. I know that there is nothing beyond the power of God. No miracle that cannot be performed, no situation that cannot be remedied, no fear that cannot be alleviated, no illness that cannot be cured. And it happens for each one of us, through each one of us. And we are open to that, to the peace and the poise and the power and the promise. I know that all that has been requested is already being worked on, and if not already materialized, will soon be. I know that that which we hold in our hearts to be our fondest dreams and our highest aspirations are simply the nudgings of spirit to remind us what is possible and what we can become. I know that peace prevails. That we simply are not going to do war no more. That we are called to be peacemakers. And we respond. I know for Jennifer that is the ability to see clearly, to know beyond a doubt, and to see the truth in every one and every situation so that she may respond from her God center. And in doing so, fulfills her destiny. I know for Dana continued peace of mind, and for John wholeness, healing, strength and vitality, and a new way of looking at life that supports him in becoming all that he is really meant to be. And I know for those who will hear this at some other time, that whatever they hold in their hearts as their greatest fulfillment, that too is already being accomplished. I know for this ministry that the work that it does changes the world for good. And I know for all of us clarity in what it is we are meant to be doing and everything that we need to be doing it. I know. Because that's the way it works. And I am grateful, so very, very grateful for the peace in my heart and the clarity in my mind and the answer to prayers. And we simply let go without having to know how it is going to happen. We simply accept that it is happening and let it be so. And so it is. Will you say after me our closing statement for tonight? Here on the anniversary of September 11th, 2021. The universe is calling. We are here to answer the call with spiritual truth, with spiritual action, and with love. We are here to be agents of change in our lives, in our communities, and in our world. The universe is calling. And we respond. Here I am. Send me. And so it is. I love you. I honor you. I celebrate you. Have a great rest of your week. I'll be back here Sunday at noon, and again next Wednesday at 7. I hope you'll join me. And know that you go with God.